The 1991 Washington Redskins dominated the NFL with a near-perfect season. Led by head coach Joe Gibbs, quarterback Mark Rypien, and a ferocious offensive line known as the Hogs, Washington steamrolled their competition. They finished the regular season 14-2, then crushed their playoff opponents en route to a Super Bowl 26 victory over the Buffalo Bills. Today we'll dive into the historic season, exploring the key players, memorable games, and lasting legacy of one of the greatest teams in NFL history. The 1991 Washington Redskins put together one of the most dominant regular seasons in NFL history. Under Joe Gibbs, the Redskins stormed to a 14-2 record, outscoring opponents by an average of 16.3 points per game. Quarterback Mark Rypien had a career year, throwing for 3,564 yards and 28 touchdowns. His favorite target was Art Monk, who hauled in 71 catches for 1,049 yards. On the ground, bruising running back Ernest Biner rushed for 1,048 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Redskins' offense was nearly unstoppable, leading the league with 485 points scored. But their defense was equally impressive, allowing 224 points all season, the second fewest in the NFL. Washington started the year 11-0 before suffering their first loss. Key victories included a 45-0 demolition of the Detroit Lions and a 24-22 thriller over the Houston Oilers. The team's success was built on remarkable consistency. They outscored at least 20 points per game in every single game. By season's end, the Redskins had outscored opponents 485-224 for a staggering point differential of 261. With Pro Bowlers on both sides of the ball and a historic level of production, the 91 Redskins regular season set the stage for one of the most dominant Super Bowl runs ever. Players on the 1991 Redskins included quarterback Mark Rypien, who passed for 3,564 yards and 28 touchdowns, with only 11 interceptions. He was named to the Pro Bowl and selected as first-team All-Pro, and he also led the league in yards per attempt and passing rating. Wide receiver Art Monk caught 71 passes for 1,049 yards and 8 touchdowns. He averaged 14.8 yards per reception and was also named to his third Pro Bowl. Wide receiver Gary Clark had 70 receptions for 1,340 yards and 10 touchdowns. He led the team in receiving yards and touchdowns and selected to the Pro Bowl as well. Running back Ernest Biner rushed for 1,048 yards and 5 touchdowns. He contributed in the passing game with 34 receptions for 308 yards and named to the Pro Bowl. Defensive end Charles Mann recorded 11.5 sacks, leading the team. He was named to his 4th consecutive Pro Bowl, and he anchored a defensive line that was crucial to the team's success. Cornerback Darrell Green intercepted 5 passes, returning 1 for a touchdown. He was selected for the Pro Bowl, and he was known for his incredible speed and shutdown coverage ability. Linebacker Wilbur Marshall led the team with 5 interceptions from his linebacker position. He recorded 5.5 sacks and 136 total tackles. He was named first-team All-Pro and selected for the Pro Bowl. And finally, guard Mark Schlereth. He was a key member of the Hogs, the Washington's famous offensive line, and he helped pave the way for the team's potent rushing attack. And he was also selected for his first Pro Bowl. These players were instrumental in the Redskins' success during the 91 season. They contributed for both the high-powered offense and a stingy defense. Their individual accomplishments, combined with an excellent team chemistry and coaching, led to one of the most dominant seasons in NFL history. 1992, the Washington Redskins and Atlanta Falcons played in the divisional playoff game at RFK Stadium. The 1991 Redskins, led by head coach Joe Gibbs, were a force to be reckoned with. On the other side, the Falcons, coached by Jerry Glanville, had scraped into the playoffs with a 10-6 record, fresh off a wild-card win against the New Orleans Saints. From the opening kickoff, it was clear the Redskins came to play. Their first drive, a statement. Quarterback Mark Rypien orchestrated a masterful 81-yard march down the field, capped off by a Gerald Riggs 2-yard touchdown run. The Falcons, led by quarterback Chris Miller, weren't going down without a fight. They responded with a solid drive of their own, but had to settle for a Norm Johnson field goal. The game's complexion changed dramatically in the second quarter. Redskins special teams ace Brian Mitchell fielded a punt at his own 31-yard line. What happened next? Pure magic. Mitchell weaved through the Falcons' coverage team for a breathtaking 69-yard touchdown return. This electrifying play pushed the Redskins' lead to 14-3 and sent the RFK crowd into a frenzy. The Redskins' defense, anchored by the fearsome 4-on-4 of Charles Mann, Tim Johnson, Eric Williams, and Fred Stokes, took over the game. They harassed Chris Miller relentlessly, racking up 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble. In the fourth quarter, the Redskins put the game away. Ricky Irvin punched in a 17-yard touchdown run, capping off a dominant performance. He ended up the day with 23 carries for 104 yards and 1 touchdown. The final score was Redskins 24, Falcons 7. This game showcased why the 91 Redskins were special. A balanced offense, explosive special teams, and a suffocating defense. It was a complete team victory that propelled them one step closer to their eventual Super Bowl triumph. The NFC Championship Game was between the Washington Redskins and Detroit Lions. The Lions, led by head coach Wayne Fontes, had surprised many by reaching this stage. They were riding high after their first playoff win since 1957, having defeated the Dallas Cowboys in the divisional round. From the opening whistle, it was clear the Redskins were ready to dominate. On their first drive, they made a statement. Quarterback Mark Rypien connected with Art Monk for a crucial third down conversion, setting the tone for the day. The Redskins drew first blood with a Chip Lohmiller field goal, but they were just getting started. On their next possession, Rypien uncorked a beautiful 45-yard touchdown pass to Gary Clark, pushing the lead to 10-0. The Redskins defense, led by Charles Mann and Wilbert Marshall, stifled the Lions offense. They consistently pressured Lions quarterback Eric Kramer and contained star running back Barry Sanders. Despite the Redskins' dominance, the Lions managed to keep it close in the first half, thanks to a Mel Gray kickoff return. The halftime score was Redskins 17, Lions 10. The third quarter saw the Redskins pull away. Rypien continued his aerial assault, connecting with Gary Clark for another touchdown. Then, Ernest Biner punched in a short rushing touchdown, extending the lead to 31-10. Any hopes of a Lions comeback were dashed when Darrell Green intercepted Eric Kramer and returned it for a touchdown. This play epitomized the Redskins' dominance on both sides of the ball. The final score, Redskins 41, Lions 10. The game showcased why the 91 Redskins were special. A high-powered offense, suffocating defense, and excellent special teams play. It was a complete team victory that punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 26 between the Washington Redskins and the Buffalo Bills was played at the Metrodome in Minneapolis on January 26, 1992. The Washington Redskins, led by head coach Joe Gibbs, entered the game as slight favorites. They had dominated the regular season and cruised through the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills, coached by Marv Levy, were back in the Super Bowl for the second straight year, hungry to avenge their heartbreaking loss in Super Bowl 25. The game started as a defensive struggle. Both teams' nerves were evident. Bills star running back Thurman Thomas misplaced his helmet and missed the first 2 plays. The Redskins' usually reliable kicker, Chip Lohmiller, missed a 19-yard field goal. The score at the end of the first quarter was 0-0. The Redskins found their rhythm in the second quarter. Gerald Riggs punched in 2 short touchdown runs, and Chip Lohmiller redeemed himself with a 34-yard field goal. The halftime score was Redskins 17 and Bills nothing. The Redskins continued their dominance after halftime. Gary Clark caught a 30-yard touchdown pass from Mark Rypien, and the Redskins defense forced 2 crucial turnovers. Bills finally got on the board with a field goal, but the Redskins answered immediately with another Lohmiller field goal. The third quarter score was Redskins 31 and Bills 10. The Bills showed life in the fourth quarter. Kenneth Davis scored on a 2-yard run, and then Don Beebe caught a 4-yard touchdown pass. However, it was too little too late. The Redskins' lead was insurmountable. The final score, Redskins 37 and Bills 24. Mark Rypien was Super Bowl MVP, completing 18 of 33 passes for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Gary Clark had 7 receptions for 114 yards and 1 touchdown, while Art Monk ended the game with 7 receptions for 113 yards. The Redskins forced 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and 1 fumble, and the Redskins also recorded 5 sacks. The dominant offensive line play gave Rypien time to throw. Their stifling defense that shut down Buffalo's high-powered offense. The balanced offensive attack, 140 yards rushing to 292 yards passing, and the Redskins won the turnover battle, 5-1. The Redskins marked the third Super Bowl win in 10 years. Joe Gibbs' Super Bowl victory with 3 different quarterbacks, and the Bills' second consecutive Super Bowl loss. Super Bowl 26 showcased the 91 Redskins as one of the most complete teams in NFL history. Their balanced offense, suffocating defense, and excellent coaching proved too much for the high-powered Bills. Super Bowl victory marked the end of the Redskins' dominance under Joe Gibbs. They would never return to the Super Bowl for the remainder of the decade. Despite Mark Rypien's Super Bowl MVP, his career declined after 1991. He never again reached the same level of success. Several members of the offensive line, including Jim Lachey and Jeff Bostic, continued to be Pro Bowl caliber players for years. And Darrell Green's performance in 1991 was part of a Hall of Fame career that lasted until 2002. For Joe Gibbs, the victory further solidified his status as one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. He was inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1996. The 1991 Washington Redskins left a lasting legacy on the franchise, the city of Washington, and the NFL as a whole. Their dominance set a standard for team performance and balance that teams still strive to emulate today. While the franchise has faced challenges in subsequent years, the memory of the 1991 season remains a bright spot in team history, serving as a reminder of the heights the team once reached and could aspire to again.